Yeah, I know that's what I was trying to do. Match our heads.
Right. Match the head sizes. My head's gigantic, so I have to sit way back. Hey, everybody. Welcome back. Thanks for joining us on this live today. I am joined by my friend Charlie Sykes, who is a man who has been to this rodeo a time or two. We have always respected the fact that Charlie was one of the early adopters here. One of the folks who said right off the top, "This ain't me, guys. I'm not in for this." And Charlie, your Substack is an excellent window, I think, still into the stuff that former Republicans like you and me look at our old party and go, what is going on over there? And right now, that what is going on over there is now day 8 or 9 of Epstein panic on the part of the Trump folks. And Charlie, give me your feelings on where we're at as of today, because every day I keep thinking, oh, come on, they're going to do that magic voodoo they do and get back on message, and they can't.
See, this is the thing. You and I have been having this conversation for 10 years now, right? Where it's like, is this the thing that will break? Is this the pivot? And so you put your finger on it when you said this is what day 8 or 9, because the magic thing has not happened yet. Mm-hmm. And I actually was interviewed by a reporter, and I said, look, I'm really earlier today. And I said, who asked me this question, is this different? And I said, look, I'm really ever reluctant, ever to say this is different. But the fact that we are on day 8 or 9 and the Jedi mind trick has not worked is ending, is a tell. Yeah. And now you've been watching Donald Trump as closely as anyone. And I have to say that there's a couple of things. I mean, I think the flop sweat is pretty apparent, but also I can't remember the last time that he was this crosswise with his own base. And the fact that he put out that bleat this morning, basically saying to his own, supporters, you weaklings. Yes, you former reporters. I don't need you anymore.
I don't want or need you. Right.
Okay. So, wow.
Yeah. I mean, Charlie, when I looked at that, I was like, he's so spoiled rotten about the control he's had over his base. I don't even think he understands how bad it is. I think they've been up his ass so long that he feels like that's the normal state of being is always that whatever he says goes, whatever he demands happens. Yeah. And just today you had Tim Pool go out and say, who is as hardcore a Trumper as you can imagine, folks, go out and say that Trump is nuking his own base.
Yes.
Alex Jones having another cry in his car this morning, which I think is where he lives now. But he's out, practically in tears. Like, Trump doesn't understand. He's hurting us. He does all of it. And I guess the thing that we're seeing the symptom, but not the cause. And the cause of Trump wanting this cover up, the Trump ordering Bondi to do this. I think it's because they had a few weeks at the FBI with this material, and we're going through it and went, oh no, this ain't good. And you and I, we've talked about this on one of our chats. This is like, it's irrational the way he's behaving, unless you understand that he is implicated.
Oh, there are so many layers of irrationality here, including what was MAGA actually expecting here? This was the mother lode, right? This was the conspiracy theory. Yep. We're going to nail all of these evil pedophile Democrats. Well, what were they expecting about Donald Trump, given all of the pictures of Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein, the incredible paper trail? And we're probably going to get a little bit more of that. But again, going back to this question, and look at all the people that push this. I mean, this is part of the Jedi mind trick. It's like, no, there's nothing there.
Right? We never said.
Jon Stewart went through all of the crazy things. Cash Patel, Dan Bongino, everybody. J.D. Vance. This is really, really important. This is really, really big. This is important. We will bring down the elites, and then Pam Bondi giving out letters saying that she had, hundreds of these documents on her desk and ordering the FBI to give her more, and then having the binder thing. One bullshit, there you go. One bullshit thing after another. Right. To then turn on a dime is an indication of just how, to your point, how arrogant Trump is, that Trump really does feel that his mastery, his ability to mold and twist facts to his will is infinite. It's like,
Right.
if I shoot somebody in the middle of Fifth Avenue and then I tell you it didn't happen, you will believe me. If I rape a little girl in the middle of Fifth Avenue and I say you shouldn't care about it, you won't care about it.
They care about it. I mean, I think,
do care
Charlie,
about it.
you know, we back in 2015 and 16, we started to see this thing rumbling up, Pizzagate, you know, all that QAnon conspiracy garbage, and it was intertwined with all this Epstein storyline. So for a decade, when they weren't getting direct orders from Trump, they were playing that back on social media and in their personal lives. Well, I'm saving the children. I'm supporting Trump, so we'll save the children from the pedophile Democrat conspiracy. I mean, that cognitive dissonance has got to be massive and growing every day.
Well, okay. I mean, I feel like, and this is where you and I both need to take a deep breath. David French had a really interesting point earlier today. He said, you know, you have to understand how firm these alternative realities are, that there are millions of Americans who are just now, Rick, discovering that Donald Trump is a liar.
Whoops.
Okay, and we're like, yeah, what? Okay, wait,
what?
In the last decade. But I mean, when you think about it, I mean, going back to, you know, you can grab women by the pussy, you know, the fact that he has been found liable for sexual abuse. We've known the stories of him walking in on teenage girls at the Miss Teen pageant. There's nothing new about all of this. You elect a convicted felon, chronic liar, and now you're shocked to find out that maybe he's covering up his own wrongdoing. But maybe that's the case. Maybe there are people who have been so deluded or so isolated, and the fact that he's chosen this particular issue to cover up it. And I guess again, I think that the main question is this any different than before? Well, the fact that, first of all, people understand it, people have been thinking about it, and every time he opens his mouth now, rather than doing that magic thing where he shuts people down, it is like the Barbra Streisand effect, the Streisand effect on steroids. People go, well, wait, maybe there is something in there. Why would you do this?
This is the most fascinating thing to me is like his miscues on this. Every time he goes out to try to wrap it up, it keeps the fire going. And you know, at one point, Liz Crokin, who's one of those mad hatter conspiracy theorists, said, "Oh, Trump's playing 5G chess to blackmail the deep state with the Epstein." No, folks, this guy's just lost and he doesn't get it anymore. And I wonder if you think that any of this is related to Trump's, you know, having lost a lot of steps. He is not, the guy's clearly unhealthy. This is not the Trump we saw even in 2024, much less in 2016.
I honestly don't know. But you know, he has had, and you and I think probably agree on this. He's had this reptilian instinct where he knows how to stick with his tribe. You know, the one time he got booed by his own supporters was when he was supporting vaccines, and of course he immediately backed off on that. He has not allowed any daylight between him and his base until now. Now he has definitely lost some steps. There's no question about it. But there's also something about, why is he so obsessed with this story? I mean, why? Let's play just this. I'm going to play a what if with you. Why not have Donald Trump do two other things in alternative realities, where he comes out and says, yeah, I used to like looking at young girls. So the fuck what? You knew that I was. I love beautiful women. Breaking news, move on. Okay.
I was a dog.
I was a dog, and you wish you were too. Okay, that's number one. Number two, he could have gotten out of this last week by simply firing Pam Bondi.
Sure.
And saying, hey, this wasn't me. I'm your guy. You know me.
I'm going to clean this up.
Instead, over the weekend, he takes full ownership of it. And there's something about this. I mean, the more he talks about it, the more I think you reasonably go, what the hell is in there? And the real tell is when he calls it the hoax. Well, it's only a hoax if there's something they're saying. If it was written by these evil Democrats, doesn't that imply that there's something in this document that he thinks is so horrible and so terrible that he has to suppress it? So again, to your point, every time he opens his mouth, he makes it worse.
And he doesn't. I mean, in this case, it's like the calendar is not his friend. These documents were initially taken in during his administration.
Yes, Epstein
and there's
died.
A chain of custody that I promise you folks, nobody in the FBI who had those documents is going to say to themselves, wow, I'd love to go to federal prison by altering evidence. And it's just not going to happen. So, you know, we saw it is striking to me though, and I want to get your comment on this. So let's play that Alex Jones clip first. I want to just show that one first.
I want to see disaster. I don't know how they got Trump and the DOJ to do this, because the public is not buying it. No one is buying it. So I never saw any evidence of Trump involved in any of the stuff that came out. It was all fake. The fake Jane Does, all the crap, E. Jean Carroll, the crazy leftist cat lady, all of it. So now, by coming in and being part of the cover-up, the Trump administration has become part of it. I mean, it's just you cannot see it any other way. So I just got to the office. I'm going to go throw up, actually. And this only happens every few years when something really, really bad happens or something. I mean, I'm physically going to puke probably right now.
In the car? He's going to
in the car. Puke in the car.
Just roll the window down.
Haven't done that in a few years.
Yeah.
But I mean, Charlie, is part of this, and I'm seeing Laura Loomer and all these folks that are around the Trump grifter ecosystem.
Right.
They seem to be holding the line. I mean, Charlie Kirk may have walked it back a little bit yesterday, but his own people started blowing him up. So by the end of the day yesterday, when he said, "I'm not talking about Epstein anymore," he started talking about Epstein again. Is part of this that the sort of email fundraising conveyor belt that these people depend on, that Epstein was good for their bottom line? Is that part of it? Because I don't think all of them are stupid enough to believe the most lurid aspects of the conspiracy theory, but I do think a lot of them are financially incentivized to keep this sort of conspiracy theory running.
Okay, well, I think there's two things, and up until yesterday or this weekend, the formula was pretty easy for most of them, which was that they had two audiences they had to stay in the good graces of. They're the actual, the folks, the base,
right,
and Donald Trump. Keep them both happy. If Donald Trump breaks bad on you, you're going into exile. You know what going into exile feels like, Rick? You understand what happens?
Been there.
When you're denounced? You got a little feel of that.
Fortress of Solitude. Also, I know you know the story, Charlie.
But also there is audience capture, which is, and every talk show host, every podcaster, every Substacker knows that your audience has certain expectations. And if you deviate, you will hear from them, you will get ratioed. So what happens is Charlie Kirk's world has been rocked because he's like, I can suck up to Donald Trump forever, but I also, my audience will love that. Suddenly you're having this division. So, and let's talk about Charlie Kirk. So he has that big conference over the weekend, and there are like 7,000, 8,000 people there, and that's all they're talking about. And they do a show of hands. Laura Ingraham does a clap thing. Everybody wants the files released. Nobody is buying the cover up.
Right.
Nobody. Okay, that's Friday, and Charlie Kirk is there beating the drum. On Friday, Charlie Kirk says, "Yeah, I got a call from Daddy. I got a call from the boss," and he said, "Don't talk about it." So I am done talking about it. Well, okay, that's fine for him, but his audience basically goes, "Bullshit." It works with the influencers who are on the hook, but there's that vast unwashed audience out there. And this was my question that I asked on Morning Joe yesterday, and I said, what a pathetic toady Charlie Kirk was and looked like. Well, he looked like a pathetic toady to his own base. So that's what makes this feel different to me, Rick. And so these guys have to decide because in the past there wasn't a choice, but now you have to choose your audience or Daddy, and Daddy and the audience are fighting right now.
Yeah, it is something. I think a lot of these guys, who have not broken, the Jack Posobics, the Laura Loomers, those folks, they believe for years that while Trump was important, that their own audiences, their own revenue streams, their own position as influencers, had to have that red meat base on their side. They've been used to years being told, go get them, Laura Loomer, go get them, Jack Posobiec, go get them, Alex Jones, whatever. And now they do. You're exactly right. That dichotomy of Daddy versus their own base. Their own base may be Trump's base. That Venn diagram may overlap. But that Republican base, I really think it says something about where Trump is at in the Republican Party space right now, which has been consistently in the high 80s for years and years and years.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I predict in the next week, we're going to see some polling rolling out where he has come down probably 4 to 7 points is my guesstimate among Republicans.
That's reasonable. Yeah.
And I think some of them will be hesitant to say it because they don't want to be seen as, I've gone over to the libs. But I think that he's going to lose some off of his own baseline, which is, I think, really problematic for Trump, especially as he's continuing to screw up the trade deals, trying to fire Jerome Powell, which is the market's going to love that. That's going to go great.
Well, he's already backed off.
Yeah, I know.
He went running to the tall weeds on that. Yeah.
But I just feel like he brought this on himself at exactly the wrong moment. He's got the anti-war base has finally realized that Putin's been playing Trump like a fool. He's got the economic, true believers who see Trump potentially firing the chairman of the Fed and blowing these trade deals. We've got inflation starting to pop back up again. Right. It just seems like Trump's in a really bad, like a vortex of a lot of negative energy coming at him at one time.
Well, let's look at this from Trump's point of view as well. Mm. And I say this because you are a Trump whisperer. You've been following all this. In order to understand Trump, you have to realize that he thinks of himself not as the president or the leader, as the executive producer of the show.
Sure.
Right? And right now, suddenly the show has veered off course. I mean, one of his superpowers has been, and this drives us all crazy, is he makes us talk about what he wants us to talk about. Mm-hmm. And suddenly we're talking about exactly what he does not want to talk
Correct.
about. Okay, so there's two things here too. And I'm glad you put up the Laura Loomer quote there, because I think we have to make a distinction between the real crazy fever swamp hardcore,
right,
which is probably going to stick with Trump, and then the Trump adjacent folks or the Trump curious folks. I mean, the manosphere people who are like going, geez, the Tim Pools of the world, the Joe Rogans of the world who are going, I'm not buying into this sort of shit. But look, Laura Loomer is hardcore nutcase, BFF, crazy, bigoted Trump whisperer. And she actually says, I have said that we need a special counsel.
Right.
Oh, there's if you're Donald Trump, if you want to make Donald Trump wet his pants, say, Mr. President, would you think of having a special counsel? The last thing on fucking earth he wants. And this is coming from Laura Loomer and Lauren Boebert.
Yep. So, and Marjorie Taylor Greene. And yeah, you're right. It is. Yeah. I mean, the word special counsel and Donald Trump are not, that's matter, antimatter, and they destroy one another immediately, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
The only person that he trusts in that job, though, that we've seen the MAGAs bubbling up on is Matt Gaetz.
I know.
Which I find it ironic. We would put a guy who paid for sex with teenage prostitutes by Venmo in charge of an investigation of a man who provided teenage prostitutes for sex.
See, this is what's interesting about all this. I don't know about you, but there's been so much going on here. I really haven't thought about Matt Gaetz for months, and I also I personally had not thought about Jeffrey Epstein for months, maybe even years. And now suddenly, because of Trump's action, we are all talking about them and thinking about them. And trust me, in terms of is this any different? In the coffee shops and the truck stops across Middle America, and Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin, my guess is they are less likely to be talking about the big beautiful bill than they are talking about Jeffrey Epstein.
Right.
It's understandable. And again, you cannot have people marinate in something year after year after year, and then think that you can hit a switch and tell them to shut up about it. And then the insulting them. And if you care about this, he says to 90% of his base, right, you're a bunch of weaklings and you're dupes and everything. So,
and I don't want your support. That to me was like a super telling weird jump over the shark.
I think so too.
Base politics.
It's one thing you have to give that to people like us, right?
Yeah. Right. Right.
These are loyalists.
We're used to being
line
insulted.
And sinker.
We're used to being insulted. We've been to that. We've been there. But yeah, these
past supporters have bought into this bullshit. You suckers, you idiots. I don't need you anymore.
How dare you be so stupid as to
And then you come back
me.
from the bathroom, back into the bedroom later and said, honey, I'm really sorry. I didn't mean those things I said about you. Right? Whoa, okay. But
He's like
you
the
said
Ike.
them.
He's like the Ike Turner of the Republican Party. Now, like, baby, I had to hurt you. You know?
Yeah.
It's
Well,
so
in the past,
bad.
it's worked for him, right? I mean, look,
Yeah.
you had the Ted Cruzes and the Marco Rubios who've come crawling back to him. And so there's reason in his head to think that I'll just do this again. But he chose an issue that's different. This is just different.
This is like it was so central to their identity. You know, Charlie, one of the other groups that loves us, that has been having such a hard time with this is the anti-Trump folks.
Oh, yeah.
Folks, anti-Trump folks are Republicans who don't love Trump, but they hate folks who hate Trump on the Republican side and the conservative side with the fire of a billion suns.
They do.
They look at us as like the worst possible human beings in the world. Mm-hmm. They are having a really tough time with this one. They are really struggling on this one because it's like, shit, now I have to admit those assholes were right all along.
Well, yes. I mean, and one of the reasons why they hate us so intensely is because I think we're that voice of conscience in their heads thinking, right. you know what you're doing.
You're wrong, guys.
It's like, you remember what it was like before your soul left your body. And that's really bad. So I have a question to ask you.
Yeah.
And I'm a little curious about all this because I was asked this earlier today, and normally I would say that this is like a great opportunity for Democrats to pound on this, and I'm not saying that's wrong. You know, I think it's good that they forced a vote on it, that they're doing it.
Yeah.
But knowing the dynamic of the Republican Party and MAGA, the one thing that has always strengthened Trump is when it looks like the other side is overplaying their hand. Sure. Now, again, I'm just asking the question. I'm just asking
questions.
So, yeah. But do you understand what I'm talking? You know,
sure,
it's like what makes Trump stronger? Well, when he perceives that it is the other guys, they're out for poor Donald Trump. They're martyring Donald Trump. He doesn't have that right now because most of what's happening, most of the drama is internal to MAGA. Right. Yeah. And that's what he can't frame yet. So how should Democrats handle it? What do you think?
Look, I think Democrats should stay on it, but they should stay on it in a way that drives the cognitive dissonance inside. You know, it should almost be more in sorrow than in anger to the Republican base. Why is it different now? I thought you wanted to know these things. We agree these things are important. And I think the thing Democrats can do here that would be very, very smart is they should say, yeah, we should release the Epstein files. And if Bill Clinton's in the Epstein files, so be it. If big Democrats are in the Epstein files, so be it. We don't care. If it's George Soros or Bill Clinton or whoever, they need to it needs to all become, it has all come out. Let the chips fall where they may. We're not trying to hide anything. We want full transparency. In fact, we're more with you on this issue of truth about this terrible predator than Donald Trump is. Let's leave Trump aside. Let's get to real justice here. Let's have justice for the victims of this guy. Let's have accountability for the people that were taking advantage of these young girls with him enabling it. I think that way makes it, a lot better than a purely partisan frame of all Republicans are Jeffrey Epstein fans. I mean, I think you can divide them by exploiting what Trump is doing right now to his own base.
Yeah, no, I mean the card he's playing. I mean, boy, we'll look at that rogues gallery there. Woo! You know, there's the history of our lifetime right in front of us there.
There it is.
I can identify with Alex Jones wanting to throw up a little bit in my mouth. But okay, so but the Trump play here, and I'm not saying that he's a chess player because of course he is not, but he's labeled it a hoax, which means that he's set up that if something comes out about the file that is negative about him, he is trying to get his audience to think that here they're smearing me again. That what Donald Trump is hoping for is at some point people to come out and say, see, the files have been released and I am completely exonerated.
Right.
The other question though is, what shoe could drop that would make a difference? And I was having a flashback to October of 2016 because we live in that world, and we were thinking, what's the next shoe going to drop after the Access Hollywood video?
Right.
What would it be? And back then there might have been some shoes that would have dropped if there was some evidence. In the last 10 years, I've come to the view, and I don't know about you, with it, there's no shoe that's going to drop. There's nothing that you could find out about Donald Trump, that he actually financed abortions, that he performed abortions.
Well, he did.
No,
but not performed, but financed.
Yeah, but it's not going to make any difference to his base. So I guess the question is, why would this be different? So let's say there's something shitty in the Epstein files. He'll say, number one, it's a lie, and number two, he'll claim some kind of exoneration unless they have, I don't know, what would it take? What would it be that he?
Look, I think Charlie, I think you're exactly right.
Yeah.
That if you show people Donald Trump is a fraud, a liar, a cheat, an adulterer,
which we have,
none of it, right? Which we have thousands of times. None of it has ever penetrated. They look at him as their Cyrus, their flawed avatar for their war against
King David.
King David, right.
Smearing King David,
and that his very flawed nature in their minds validated what they believed about him. I think, though, this is a different piece of terrain because they have this elaborate schema in their heads that there is this massive global child predator, cannibal, child slavery, child sex abuse ring that was led by Democrats.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the other part of why they're so disturbed by this. It's like, why would he protect them?
Yes.
Why would he hide that information? That's the other part of this. It's not about Trump, but it becomes about his cover up. It becomes about why he's hiding all of this material. And I think, and as you and I were privy earlier to a piece of rumor intelligence about something coming out soon, I just heard from another person a few minutes ago that something is coming out soon that is pretty bad, that is pretty damning. And we'll see what happens. But I think the other part of this that Trump fears the most for his base is that about 200 FBI agents were involved in the various collection of information from Epstein's properties, redaction of some of the CSAM material, which is appropriate, examination of a lot of this material. I think they're very much afraid that there will be a drip, drip, drip out of folks in the field who are now being told or now being said by Trump, oh, the FBI must have altered this on the behest of Clinton or Obama or the pedophiles or whatever it is. And I think that is a very dangerous spot because a lot of these people at the FBI, they do not like Dan Bongino. They do not like Kash Patel. They feel like their professionalism has been besmirched by these people. And you and I both know FBI guys, man, there is a point of pride about their identity in that organization that putting these yahoos in charge of it has pushed a very bad button.
Okay, so I'm going to hate myself for asking this question, but I already hate myself for asking this question. But what do we make of Michael Wolff saying that he has tapes of Epstein describing certain acts?
I mean, he's already released some. He's already released some audio clips from it.
Well, because unless we hear the tapes, it doesn't really matter, right? I mean, Michael Wolff is not the most credible voice anymore, but
he released that. He released that block of Epstein saying, I was Trump's closest friend for a decade. We did the stuff together. We partied together. I think in context, Michael probably should release more of this at scale so people can make a full assessment. And yeah, Michael has fans and he has detractors. But the guy is like a piranha. He always gets back in to wherever they're going on, Trump world. He gets back into those worlds. And some of the things that he reported that folks had said, oh, that sounds like bullshit, were things that I had reported and covered in my second book about the administration. So I think Michael and I have sort of crossed some paths over the years without knowing it of different people. But I think it would be a service right now if he released more of that stuff at a broader scale. I'm going to ask him to do it. I'm going to.
You should. Please do, because that I think is the kind of thing that we need to, as opposed to speculating about what's in there, and let's do it. Yeah. And by the way, if those allegations are in fact, I mean, if they're out there, and I'm Donald Trump, wouldn't you think that he would want the evidence to be out, that he would be able to say, look, I want to be able to defend 100%. Myself, as opposed to say nobody cares about this, and you people that have been
that nobody cares about this is a very effed up illusion on his part that is not going to hold up.
No. So I think you alluded to this before, but one of the questions that I always have with Donald Trump is when things are not going well is like, okay,
Mhm.
what will be the distraction du jour? How will he, as executive producer, what will he do? He's kind of, shot his wad on a lot of things. He's bombed Iran, right? He's done all the tariffs that hasn't actually moved the needle. Today, he was floating out this idea that he's going to fire the chairman of the Fed, Jerome Powell, which would be a very, very big deal. And yet he tacoed on that as soon as he saw what the markets were saying about it. Right?
There's one thing Donald Trump listens to beyond his feral sense of cunning.
Yeah.
And man, he watches the markets like a damn hawk. He looks at that. Look, every one of the trade tacos has come because the market finally reached the point they go, oh shit, he's not joking.
This is the one guardrail that's held, right? It's like
weirdly
Congress. Weirdly enough, it's the one guardrail so far.
It's the S&P. He watches the S&P in particular because he's an older school thinker about the markets, right? Yeah. He's not watching the NASDAQ, but when he watches the S&P, you can tell when he's about to taco on something because the market goes south and he finds a way like, well, maybe we should delay these trade deals for 90 more days.
Yes.
And it never fails. It never fails to surprise or to surprise a lot of people how closely he is sensitized to that. The other thing he follows is ratings, and the other thing he follows is his polling. And again, I think, Charlie, we're going to have to keep a very close eye for the big distractions. I'm going to nuke those penguins who screwed us so badly on trade in the Herd Islands because they've treated us very badly. I mean, I'm not saying, folks, that Trump will go to nuclear weapons, but he will go to some kind of major wag the dog distraction if this continues.
It's very dangerous. No, listen, this is really important. Yep. And there's years of watching Trump behind this. This is not just blowing smoke.
Right, folks. We are anthropologists of this badness.
Right. So he is sitting there right now thinking, what can I do to change the narrative? And the tariffs are not doing it. Even breaking bad on Vladimir Putin or appearing to.
Right.
Because I'm not buying that bullshit.
Yeah, I'm waiting.
Firing the Fed, which we can't do that. But I think he's been spooked by this whole thing.
Oh, yeah.
I think he was really spooked. Speaking of ratings, I think he was very, very spooked. The fact that his social media post over the weekend saying everybody move on was ratioed. I think that bothered him way more than people who have not been following him understand, because these are his people. To be on Truth
Social that's like the most self-selected group of Trump supporters, folks. I mean, you've got to be a Trump hottie to be on Truth Social and tolerate it.
So that was bad for him in the same way that you could sort of see that the Charlie Kirks of the world, they figure, okay, I'm just not going to talk about this. And then you open up your email box or your text box or whatever, however he gets his, I don't know what does Charlie Kirk get his feedback. And I'm guessing he was on blast.
Yeah. Yeah. I think he got ratioed for one of those things as well. But folks, this is going to be we're entering into, I think, actually a fairly dangerous period with Trump. I mean, he may try to like arrest Gavin Newsom or some other stunt casting thing, or do some sort of like, let's do worse than alligator Alcatraz. Let's start arresting Hispanic school children because we think they're MS-13. Yeah. I think he would be persuaded by the dramatic nature of something truly shitty and evil as a change of subject. And he might not be wrong, Charlie.
Or he might be. Because I think that he and Stephen Miller were sitting around the Oval Office thinking, the best thing we can do is let's send troops.
Right, they pulled him out. They pulled him out today.
They pulled that because, and frankly, I did think that maybe that would get him his "I am strong" on Law and Order, and it didn't work. I think there's something going on right now, and I wrote about this the other day. They are all in on the cruelty and the brutality, the alligator Alcatraz, the masked agents. That is not playing well with the public. The public is now shifting its position on immigration when they're seeing this. And this shift in opinion comes just as there is about to be this massive, massive infusion of cash into ICE, where we're going to have 10,000 new agents. Right. Many of them were. So I actually think that is not the political winner he thinks it is. So, but I agree with you that I could imagine him saying, we need to send in the airborne into New York City to stop them from electing a communist or something,
Right.
or something like that. I'm not sure that that's going to do what he wants it to do anymore.
Yeah, look, it is tougher all the time, I think, for him to pretend that the stunts are going to hold up and hold together for the MAGA base. Well, Charlie, I want to thank you for coming on the show today. Tell folks where they can find you on social media and on your Substack.
Okay, I'm over at To the Contrary on Substack. Thank you for all the readers that you have referred to me, Rick. I appreciate it very much. And of course, I'm still on all those other social media things, but To the Contrary is where I spend most of my time these days.
Brilliant. Well, Charlie, thank you for coming on today. Let's talk again soon. I really appreciate it. I always love talking to you.
We had way too much fun. I'm sorry.